Alright, so let's finish up this rigging lesson. We're going to add the upper body rig and finish this guy up and get him ready for lights, camera, action time. Alright, so like I did for the legs, I now am going to go to my front view, like so, and we're going to add a few more joints here. We're going to keep working on just the left side, and then we'll mirror those joints over to the right side. So let's go to skeleton. Where's that? There it is. Skeleton joint tool. Let's put one right here, I guess. That's a good place for it. On the 0x axis and right where this edge loop comes across. That'll be his chest. This will be his shoulder. And we'll just do one joint for the hand right there. And I press enter and confirms my joint creation process. Now I'm ready to go in and start naming them. Let's call it chest JT001. And then remember, now we're on the left side of my character, so we'll call this shoulder left JT001. And last but not least, hand left JT001. Alright, so that's a great start. Why don't we just go ahead and parent or place my chest joint underneath my pelvis joint. Look what happens whenever I do that again. I'll middle mouse button click, drag, hover over pelvis, and I'll just release my middle mouse button. And it draws a joint right in there for us. Alright, I'm going to go in and center that out. Alright, so now I have the upper body pretty much made in terms of skeleton. If I open up my pelvis hierarchy now, I have chest joint 001. If I open that up, I now have shoulder left. Open that up, hand left. Alright, cool. The only thing we need to do now is let's just go ahead and mirror our skeleton over, because we don't have to do any crazy IK rigs. We're just going to have FK upper body, IK lower body. That'll be fine for this rig. So I'm going to select shoulder left, go to skeleton, mirror joint, make sure we're in YZ, behaviors checked, and we replace left with right. I do that. Now I get a right shoulder and right hand. That's great. Now we just need to go in and make some controls for our character, okay? We need to make some more circles. So let's just collapse my skeleton, and let's just make some more NURBS curves. So I go to Create, NURBS Primitives, go to Circle. Let's do this in perspective so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Alright, we'll draw my first circle, and I'm going to go in and hold down my V key, and I'm just going to snap that circle straight to my pelvis bone right here. So V on the keyboard and just move it to that pelvis. In fact, I'm going to hide my mesh so I don't accidentally snap to a vert on it. So if I hold down V, example again, my curve's all the way over here. I'll hold down V as in Victor, snap right to my pelvis. Alright. We're going to go ahead and just duplicate this and make as many controls as we need to. Duplicate that curve, snap it up to my chest up here, and we're just going to make two more curves and we're going to snap them to our hands, okay? So we'll duplicate that, we'll snap it over here, and let's kind of rotate it so it's looking more like, you know, a hand control for this sack right here. So we'll do that. That looks pretty cool. Let's go in and change kind of the dimensions of our chest and waist controls. Alright, looks a little bit more presentable, a little bit more informative of what these curves actually do for us. Alright, great. Alright, so now I'm going to select my chest and waist curves. I'm going to go to Freeze Transformations. Alright, I'm not going to reset the transformations, because remember, we like our controls to be centered right on our joints that we're going to control. Okay, so looks like these pivot points are right on these joints. Perfect. I'm going to select my hand right now, and I'm going to do a little quick trick. I'm going to freeze the transformation so everything's zeroed out. But now I'm going to reset this actually, so I can do a duplicate special and just dupe it to the other side. So again, what I just did, I froze, reset, go to edit, duplicate special, -1 in the scale side, hit apply or duplicate special. Beware though, our left control, everything zeros and ones. Our right hand control now has a -1 in the scale X. So be sure to freeze your transformations after you do that. Now I need to place my pivot point onto my arm here. And it's tempting to, I'm going to hit insert on my keyboard, hit V to go into snap mode, and it's tempting, let me hide that, to snap it right on that hand there. But we don't want these controls to necessarily animate just this hand. We want these controls to actually animate the shoulder here. I just placed the controls at the hands so we can pretty much have an idea of what part of the model these controls are going to be animating. So let's go into wireframe mode, and I'm going to hit insert on my keyboard, and I'm actually going to snap them to the shoulder. So now whenever we select our control handle for our arm, it now rotates at the shoulder. So now when we pull this down, our little hand's going to follow with it, or that'll be the goal there. Alright, so let's do the same thing for this side over here, for our left side. Alright, now my pivot point is at the center of my grid. I hit insert and snap to my left shoulder. Hit insert again. Now my hand control is going to rotate from my shoulder. Alright, great. Alright, so all we have left to do now is to rename these circles and parent them to their respective joints. So let's call this waist control 001, chest control 001, hand right control 001. Oh, that's actually left. Let me change that. Left control 001, hand right control 001, and there we go. Alright, I'm going to drag this effectors group all the way down here so it's not in the way. Maybe I'll put it right there. Just get the effectors out of the way. So now all my controls are next to each other. I don't know, that's just something anal I did. Being really organized. Alright, so now we have to parent our control points to our joints. Before, we parented our control handles to the IK. This time we're just going to parent our control handles directly to our joints now. Okay? So great. Let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to unlock, or yeah, I'm going to keep my flower locked. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and hide it. My flower sack, I'm just going to go ahead and hide it. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to select my waist control, and I press Q to go into cursor mode, and I hold down shift and I just click my pelvis. Okay, and I can see in my outliner that I only have my pelvis clicked. So I have my parent and my child. I go to constraint, parent, and now I'm going to test it out. There we go. Cool. Alright, let's do the same for chest. Let's select my chest control. Next, select my chest joint, constraint, parent. Alright, let's test it out. Cool. Now I'm going to select my left hand control and my left shoulder joint. Remember, because I want my hand to control my shoulder. So if we constrain it to my shoulder joint, whenever I move from here, it'll actually affect the shoulder and the hand will follow. So again, I select my hand control and select my corresponding shoulder. I constrain those. Look what happens now. Boom. Notice how the hand joint and the control travel at the same time, even though we actually constrained it to the shoulder. Then let's do the same thing up here for our arm up here. Select the curve, select the joint, parent, constraint. Alright, so now we pretty much have all the controls for our rig ready to rock and roll. Just doing doing one more check. All right, so what's happening here? My chest control is no longer working. Remember before it was bowing? Let's check out the... Okay, something's wrong here. My whole skeleton is not moving around on the upper body with my waist control. I know the reason. Since our constraints are just bound to those bones right there, those bones only move whenever our constraints move. Okay? So that moves, but our chest doesn't affect it because that bone will only follow this control point. So I'm going to go in and reset and zero out my control handles. So there's a quick way we can fix this. So I'm going to grab my hand left and my hand right in my outliner. I'm going to middle mouse click, hover over chest control, and just drop it right under chest control. So now when I select chest control, my hands follow. Alright? And same thing for our waist. If we do the same thing for our waist, if we take our chest control and just place it under my waist control, look what happens now. Yep, he's doing his thing again. Alright, I can zero those out to get them back where they need to be. Alright. So what do I do about this guy? Do I leave my foot controls where they are? Well, the lower body and the upper body are kind of separate. Alright? You're going to be asking yourself, well, how do I move the whole skeleton? Okay? If I move the waist, my feet aren't going to follow. So I should probably put those under waist control too, right? Wrong. Because now when we move my waist control, I don't get that natural squatting method. So let me undo that. What we're going to do is we're going to make one more curve that's going to control our rotation, our translate, and scale. So I'm going to make one more NURBS circle. And I'm just going to make one for my whole model here. This guy right here, I'm going to do him kind of big. Bring up my flour sack again. And I'm going to place him right in the center of my flour sack. I'm going to make him kind of big so he's not in the way when I'm selecting everything else. I'm going to place him right in the middle of my flour sack. I'm going to freeze my transformations. I'm not going to reset them because I want my pivot right in the center of my flour sack here. Okay? And I'm going to call this sack control 001. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both my feet and my waist. Now I'm going to put it under sack control. So when I select my sack control, I can move the whole skeleton. Alright, and when I move my waist now, I still have my nice squatting effect. Alright, so this will be the control we use if you want to move the guy forward. Okay, that'll be pretty important when we get him walking. Alright, and you can even take this a little step further. If you want, you can create another circle, and I'm going to create him like so, like this. Alright, that's pretty huge, right? What we're going to call this, rotate. Let's call this rotate control 001. Alright. In fact, why don't we call this, let's just call this translate control 001. And we'll go back and call sack control. Let's call this rotate control. And we're doing basically the same thing we did for our bricks, ball, and feather. We're making handles just so we can translate and rotate our model independently of everything else we have going on. So I'm going to grab my rotate control 001, make sure everything's zeroed out here. And now I'm going to grab my newly made translate control 001, and I'm going to freeze these transformations. And you know what we can do? I'm going to just place rotate right under translate. And you can go even one step further. I won't do it here, but you can even make a scale control with another circle here. It's all about how you parent it, remember? And for my translate control, I'm going to lock out everything but my translates. Alright. And for, actually, what did I just do? Let me go into my expand my outliner. Here's my rotate control. See, I locked them wrong. So I'm going to select just my rotate controller. I'm going to unlock my rotates here because that's what I want to animate. So I'll unlock selected, and then I'll lock translate. So now all I can do is animate my flower or rotate my flower sack. All right, I can't move him, I can't scale him, and we'll do the same thing for translate. I'm just going to lock out rotates and scales, and now all I can do is move him around. Alright, if I want to rotate him, now I can rotate him with this. Alright, great. So now we got two things left to do. Clean up my outliner and bind my skeleton to my actual model I made a while ago. Let's do it. So, this is how we do it. I'm going to unlock my sack. I'm going to select my pelvis bone first. Then I'm going to select my model. Then we're going to go up here to skin. Remember, the order in which you select things is very important. Skeleton first, model second. I'm going to go up here to skin. I'm going to go to bind skin, and I'm just going to give it a smooth bind. Alright, great. So here's the moment of truth. How does my little flower sack animate? Let's start off with the hips. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. Isn't that pretty cool? Yay, yay, yay. He's jumping around. Let's grab his foot. There we go. He's walking now. He's doing a little stepping. Alright. Let's grab his chest. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I thank you, I thank you, Domo. Alright. Getting pretty cool, isn't it? Now let's grab his arms. Hey there. Hey you. What are you doing over here? I don't know. I'm being silly. But you can get an idea that with these simple controls that we made, we now can articulate this flower sack and start giving him some human emotions. So I'm pretty excited about this. Let's do one last thing. Let's create some layers and group our whole guy over here so he's not as messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my effectors and my pelvis. Okay. With both of these selected in my outliner, I'm going to go to layers, create a layer from the selected, and we'll call this rig lay. Okay, that's my rig layer. I'll hit save. Now I can hide my skeleton and effectors. Okay, we already have my flower sack locked down, so now all we have left are just my handles, and my handles are what drive my model. Alright, cool. See, now I can rotate him. Wow, he's getting dizzy. And I can even scoot this guy around all over the place. Alright, so why don't we go ahead and make a group for our translate controls. So I grab translate control, I go to create layer from selected, and I call this control layer. Now I can hide just my controls. Alright. And let's just now grab everything in our outliner. I'm just clicking, left clicking, holding, and dragging it down over everything. And let's just group it and call this flower underscore sack. And we're done. We now have a flower sack that we can animate around, be silly with. See, look at him looking around. Get some good walk cycles in. Make him even dance if we wanted to. Make him step a little bit. Rotate. Point at you if he needs to. And zoom him around the map. And we can even grab all of these handles right here. Go to modify. Reset transformations. Actually, don't do that. We can grab all of those and zero them out right here. So anytime you need to get back to a starting pose, they're already zeroed out for you and you're ready to go. Alright, so that does it for rigging a flower sack. In the next chapter, we're going to start animating this guy. Thanks.